Hi and welcome. And today we're here with Daniel Goldstone from Klear, a director at Klear, which is an influencer marketing platform. It's great to have you here. How are you?
I'm very well. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, Johnny.
Excellent. Thanks for coming. We're going to be talking lots about influencer marketing today. You're over in Israel. You're Leeds born and bred. You won't have been happy with the match last night, I'm guessing.
Some would say I'm sick to the stomach of listening about it.
Very good. Very good.
But it was a valiant effort and attacking football, and you can't knock that.
We'll fight another day. So you've been over in Israel for how long now?
It's a good question. I've been here. Have to think about it because it's been such a long time. I've been here for 11 years now.
Wow. Yeah. And whereabouts in Israel?
I'm living in Givatayim, which is the first suburb, a very small suburb outside of Tel Aviv. It's very close to the center, and I work a small bike ride away from my home in Tel Aviv.
Fabulous. So as I said, we're going to be talking a lot about e-commerce, about influencer marketing. The Klear platform, actually, you were originally called Twitterland. So you've been with Klear for about 5 years, is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
And what's also worth pointing out is you're part of in 2019 it was called an $8 billion industry, the influencer marketing industry. But Klear's journey, you were here well before influencer marketing. Just take us back a bit to Twitterland, what was formerly known as Twitterland, which was a great social analytics platform, and just take us back to how everything started.
Yeah, so the company is a brilliant company founded by 3 brilliant individuals, all happen to be brothers, computer science graduates, social media enthusiasts, and specialists in influencer marketing. In fact, it was founded as Twitterland. You can read the story, I think it's on the website still, by one of the brothers who came up with the idea or the business plan on the beach, in a beachside cafe. And called the company Twitterland. And like all startups, if you listen to the story from the founders, they twist and turn and pivot on the way and change its name from Twitterland, which wasn't a brilliant name, TWTRLAND. They changed it to Klear. And thankfully, for a salesman, it's a much better, and marketeer, it's a much better name to say over the phone as opposed to Twitterland.
Much clearer.
Some might say.
Just to remind people, we are live on LinkedIn Live, on Facebook, and on YouTube. You'll be able to catch us on the replay. If you are watching on replay, please do put #replay. And if you're listening to this, welcome. Thanks for being a listener. We're on the podcast, and it's great to have you. Please recommend and maybe even drop us a recommendation, or a review is the word I was trying to grasp. That would be great if you could. So Daniel, just talk to me. There's different levels of influencers, and before we get to that, is this just all about Instagram?
So your first question, there's different levels of influencers, most definitely, and it's totally dynamic and it's changing forever. But really, with data, we segment influencers into 4 different tiers: your top tier, your middle tier, your lower tier, and the bottom end of the scale. And just because they're at the bottom doesn't mean they shouldn't be viewed as invaluable. They're extremely valuable, but they're called your celebrities, your power users, your micro influencers, and your nano influencers. And the second question was, sorry?
Is this all just about Instagram?
On the contrary. So, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn, bloggers, TikTok. You look at what TikTok are doing. They're plowing millions and millions and millions into creators. In countries like India, there's amazing stories of what they're doing. They're driving a huge force into finding talent in shanty towns, investing millions into these people, completely revolutionizing their lives and developing talents with them and influence with them. TikTok are a real force in the influencer marketing space.
And your platform covers all of these platforms. In fact, it's a global platform. You've got over 1,000 clients. I mean, some of the names you've got everything from Dyson to Victoria's Secret to P&G. Who else would you throw into that list?
Yeah, Daimler, Mercedes, Uber, Sony Electronics, top global agencies like Edelman PR and Ogilvy and AKQA. The list really does go on of top tier name brands that entrust in Klear as an extension of their influencer marketing departments for technology.
If you are watching live and you do have a question for Daniel, please do drop it in the comments and I'll try and bring it in for you. Daniel, you talked about the different levels of influencers. So we had going from celebrity to power to micro and to nano. Nano, I think Klear suggests is around the sort of 500 to 5,000 followers for people that are listening or watching. Micro is from 5,000 to 30,000 followers. Power's 30,000 to sort of 500,000. And then we've got the celebrities on the sort of 500,000 over. Just talk to me about the benefits and the differences. You know, I assume there's an advantage to a nano influencer over a celebrity at times, but I guess celebrity is where you're always going to do well. Is that right? Or
100%. I mean, it's a very complex game, influencer marketing, and you've got to strategize accordingly when approaching it, whether you're a new brand or whether you're an existing brand like Burger King or Dyson. Okay. Now, celebrities are obviously brilliant because they have, particularly if it's a current one, they have very engaged communities. The challenge with them is usually there's a publicist or there's a manager you have to go through, and there's usually a very large fee involved with it. It might be good for a one-off type of thing, but long-term it's a challenging strategy unless you've got very deep pockets, again, like Burger King. But extremely valuable working. The weight of having a celebrity influencer behind you is amazing, and we can talk about examples of that, of those, even the organic examples of those. Now, on the flip side, working with nano influencers, much easier to open doors with. I mean, who doesn't want to be an influencer? But I think I think what it will help you do working with nano influencers is reach communities that your celebrities traditionally might find challenging to actually reach. The challenge working with nano influencers is they are not so au fait with being an influencer. They're not really set up to be an influencer. They don't know whether there should be a contract. They don't always know how to sign a contract. They don't have a lawyer to help them with that. So usually with nano influencers, and if you're doing influencer marketing at scale, you're going to work with a lot of nano influencers. The challenge with that is that there's usually quite a bit of hand-holding involved. And if you're not experienced enough in this, it can be to your detriment working with them. But if you're organized and have got a setup and individuals that can work with them, it can be extremely rewarding.
A couple of years ago, I was listening to a podcast all about influence marketing, and it was very much around, you know, it's got to be authentic, and the nano and the micro influencers am I right? That's the area that does bring at times that real authenticity compared to potentially some celebrities that are just doing it for the money.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think you get a much more authentic message from people that love the brand, even if it is a celebrity. There are examples. I think Away, the travel luggage company, when they started selling, it's an amazing story about them, by the way, but when they started selling their luggage, they looked at some of the names that were coming in, and one of the names someone recognized as the real name of a celebrity. I believe, I could be wrong, I believe it was Reese Witherspoon. I could be wrong, but they saw her name come through and they saw her talk from a sale. So she purchased it organically, and they saw her talk about them organically. That's real influencer marketing. It doesn't matter if it's with a celebrity or not. And that led on to doing very similar campaigns with other celebrities, just like Meghan Markle, for example. That being said, if you want real authentic messaging, real influencer marketing is with real brand ambassadors. Those brand ambassadors just happen to be at that time people who are celebrities. But you're going to achieve that type of success, I think, typically with a micro influencer, nano influencer type of strategy.
Talk to me more about some of the examples. You said that there's there's quite a few examples. Which ones would you highlight as things, organically that have gone and been fantastic campaigns?
I mean, Away is an amazing example. I think there's a How I Built This podcast with them as well. You can listen to the story with them, and that's a really brilliant story to listen to. But they really had a focus on influencer marketing. There's so many, Johnny. I'd have to rack my brains, but that is an incredible story from someone that started as an intern for Warby Parker, the glasses company that also did a lot with influencer marketing. So I can't remember the CEO's name, but she's an amazing CEO. She's an amazing brand marketer, and she built an amazing travel brand around influencer marketing, and much of it was around, again, real influencer marketing, real people that love the brand for what it is, and there's nothing better than that. That's the best social selling that can be.
Why do brands need a platform like Klear?
That's a good question. So I think brands that are already doing influencer marketing need a platform like Klear if they want to take it to the next level, if they want to do influencer marketing at scale. Without a tool like Klear, it's going to continue on a very much manual effort. It's going to require them to use their gut instinct as opposed to data and technology helping them make those decisions. So our data-driven approach will help them automate the entire process, from discovering influencers to vetting and verifying them, to improving how they select them, not just selecting them based on how many followers they are or what their social status is, or how many likes and comments they get. And also with the management process and measuring campaign performance, Klear automates the entire process and makes it instantaneous. So whereas a job, depending on any of those segments that I mentioned, they can take anywhere from an hour to a week to a month to a quarter to actually achieve, we help do instantly.
I mean, I work with some big brands, and one of the issues that they have is validating and vetting influencers and sort of the metrics around that. Obviously, your platform does that on I think you're saying it's a real time, it's data driven, it's AI. What are the key metrics that it would typically be looking at to try and vet or rank an influencer?
It's a great question. So Klear provides on-demand and instant access to any influencer profile in the world. Like Johnny Ross, for example. I want to look and learn a little bit about Johnny. I want to learn about what his audience demographics are, their interest spaces, the locations they're in, the type of things they talk about, the brands they talk about. Klear helps you see those things on demand for any influencer. So if you're running a campaign on Instagram and you want to know what their interests are and the top age groups or the average annual income or even things like the ethnicity, Klear gives you that. But not just that, understanding things like the type of content they publish, how their top content resonates with their fans. Does that top content fit the feel of the brand that we represent? I think it's important that you see that as opposed to just someone's in feed, which is a very noisy space. On the content side, also, Klear really helps with showing you the portfolio, the type of sponsored work an influencer has been involved in, helps you see what their brand affinity is, what success they have in sponsored content. You know, if you're going to work with them and they work with maybe a brand you admire or a brand you do know and they had huge success with it, it would probably correlate and you would probably have a lot of success in that space. And thirdly, understanding the true reach of an influencer as opposed to using vanity metrics like the followers or the likes and comments that they get, understanding the authenticity of their fans and how many real people physically interact with them and share their content and see their content across the social web, as opposed to, selecting an influencer and not really knowing what proportion of their fans are active social media users, as opposed to being maybe sporadic users or inactive users or newly created accounts, or more sinister things like fake followers or bot accounts. Klear helps uncover all of that type of stuff.
And so is that based on some kind of metric, or what? Does Klear have its own metric then, or what? How does that work? Do you give them a score?
Exactly. So Klear automatically assigns a score to every influencer. It gives a score between 0 and 100, 0 being the lowest and 100 being the highest. And it's using our own technology and data research. So we use a cascading statistical analysis to actually analyze what proportion of your fans are real people, or when I say real people, are real active social media users. You want to find influencers that have a community that are engaged with them, not that are people that are sporadic or maybe inactive. So in many cases, you can find influencers that have millions or hundreds of thousands or thousands of followers, and it doesn't really tell the true picture. And with Klear's influencer true reach algorithm, you're able to very quickly ascertain what the value of the influencer is, and if they have an authentic fan base.
The industry is set to hit 15 billion by the end of 22, if not more. What's the future of influencer marketing? Is this just getting bigger and bigger? Where's this going?
It's a good question. To answer your question, is it getting bigger and bigger? Yes, it is. It's here to stay. It's gone through the transformation, but it's just going up, up, and up. I think where it's going, it's a challenging one of exactly what's going to come. But what I can say is that there's huge demand from the industry and huge demand from our clients. And we're an extremely dynamic and fast-paced and agile company that are able to deliver at that demand. But it's forever changing. In the time that I've been with the company, when I joined them, like I mentioned a few moments ago, or you mentioned, we were called Twitterland, very Twitter focused. Now we're very much focused on all the major networks and helping all brands that are engaged with influencers or are planning to be engaged with influencers on each of those networks. We're at the forefront of it.
Yeah, I mean, you're suggesting that you could get on average 6 times ROI with influencer marketing, and in fact, when you start looking at what celebrities can bring in, bearing in mind that the costs and fees are of course much higher, but you're bringing in a 9 times ROI with celebrities, and I guess this is based on real clients, real case studies. So is that something that you've seen growing as well with regard to the ROI?
With influencers, yeah. It's just going to go up, up, and up, and not just with the celebrities, with the people that are in the middle, the influencers that again are true brand ambassadors. The lifetime value of them, having them as brand ambassadors, people that love your brands, is just going to go up, up, and up. And if you're not doing this, you need to be doing it. Not tomorrow. You need to be doing it yesterday. You need to be investing in spreading very positive word of mouth advertising with people that love your brand, community, basically.
One of the things, you've got a report out, which is the influencer pricing report for 2020.
Yeah.
And what I was the industry is predominantly female. There's no question about that. But what I was amazed at is that even in influencer marketing, even in this day and age, that there's still a pay gap between men and women, and men are getting around 25-30% higher fees than women are getting for this type of service. Is there anything? Why? Why? When it's a predominantly female market, and I think what you tend to find is that the ROI tends to be higher from female as well. Why is this existing?
So it's a good question, and it's a challenge. And I think one thing you have to account for is that female influencers exist for 84% of influencers in the industry. Many of the people, not just influencers that are on social media, are female. The men that are there have in some cases, highly engaged communities that are female. And there's a lot of value for brands in that. But again, it's such a small proportion of men there. But to give you a definitive answer on why the gap is so huge, it's very difficult to say, and we'll have to see how that will change over time.
Do you have an opinion on the types of content? So, for example, whether it be stories or whether it be posts or whether it be videos, from a personal point of view, Daniel, from what you're seeing, where do you find the best interaction, or is it having a cross section of everything?
I think it's about having a healthy balance. I think Instagram stories are a much quicker storytelling way to show live things as they're happening. It's easier to consume. You walk down the street, everyone is locked in their phone. You walk into a park where traditionally people are reading a newspaper, they ain't anymore. They're sat on a bench going through their phone, and they're looking at real-time live stories like this. This is a live story. People will be able to check in and see it, and yeah.
The rates suggest that you can get more for your that it's cheaper to buy a story, and of course, it's there for a short period of time. But I think the impact, personally, I think the impact is greater because the way I see users is that they are eating, you may as well call it that, eating content through the likes of stories much more than they are through posts.
Stories and like what we said before with the rise of TikTok and their method. It's a very quick, fast-paced, easy to digest type of media. And that's what their consumers want, really.
One of the other interesting facts that I found from your report, I mean, it's not even necessarily to give an opinion on, but it's just to recognize the fact, is that the age groups that you've looked at, they go from, you've gone looking at from the age of 12 up to over, up to whatever age, but under 35s will be earning double what over 35s will be earning, and I was just interested. It's a mad stat. In fact, if you're 18 to 24 for a video, posting a video, you could earn 4 times an influencer over the age of 35. So I'm starting to feel very old, and you've got a few months left.
I have. I'm 35 in January, all being well. So
you've got a month left.
Still got time to bring my influencer game up and start earning those big bucks.
I've got someone just asking where we can read the report that I'm mentioning. It's on Klear, Klear.com, Klear.com, and the report is under the in the resources section. Yeah, it's under the resources section.
Resources, and then underneath the blog, I believe.
Yeah. You should be able to find that, and I'll add it to the show notes afterwards as well, and I'll put a comment in the comments afterwards as well. So just moving away from influencer marketing for a moment, we're obviously going through a pandemic right now. You're in Israel. How's Israel coping with COVID? Are you in your 3rd wave? Is that where is that right? Or
we're heading possibly for another lockdown. I was just arranging with some friends to maybe do a barbecue on Wednesday or Thursday, and one of them just sent a message to the WhatsApp group. I think we might have to make it sooner, because it looks like there's some sort of lockdown coming into place, which will be a shame. But generally speaking, life's pretty cool here. Other than, there's some military state style dynamics in society. But excuse me, that's my wife. My wife's trying to catch me.
That's all right.
But every day, like everywhere, where it's become the norm, wearing masks. Most people are following guidelines and being respectful, and this is how it is at the moment, Johnny.
And with forgetting COVID, the Israeli tradition at Christmas, is that something that people get together or not? Because it's obviously not something that's highly celebrated in Israel. But do families get together on Christmas Day, or is that not a thing in Israel?
Well, I think it's a great question, and I think what people forget to remember is that this is a multi-faith.
You're being interrupted.
Sorry, someone just walking into my office to tidy something up, and I have to tell her politely, please come back later. But it's a multi-faith country. There's lots of Christians here that are following and observing and celebrating the Christmas period and the holiday season. And if you go into places like Jaffa, it's very aware that people are celebrating it. Big Christmas tree in the center of Jaffa there. And in other places like in Nazareth and others, you'll be able to see people. But, you know, as someone from the UK, I love the holiday season. I will be doing some sort of Christmas dinner with my wife and kids and some friends and drinking some. I've got the task of making mulled wine, and we'll be enjoying the festivities. But why not?
So you're not as it's not as strict in Israel with regard to who you can meet on Christmas Day, etc., which is quite tight in the UK right now.
No, it's not so strict. No, you can have.
Yeah, we're in a very different place right now. With regard to COVID, how's it affected Klear? You employ over 30 staff, I think, which is phenomenal in this industry. It's brilliant. So how's it affected? Has it caused any issues, or you're all remote working and it's fine?
So obviously there was a huge effect, because from working together in the office, communicating and collaborating in person, like everyone, it was a big shock to the system, Johnny. And trying to work through that was challenging at times for everyone. Here we are, the end of 2021, and we've been able to roll with the punches, and I think come out shining. And the same with the industry as well. We've been able to see, although there's been difficulties with things like travel, for example, we've seen huge rises in other areas like e-commerce, and a huge rise of influencer marketing needs there. So Klear are very much in need from those types of industries. Yeah.
And in fact, you've taken me on to my next question, which was going to be around, do you think COVID's had an effect on influencer marketing at all, or has it just been a natural progression, or has it powered it, or it's not really had any effect? Any thoughts on some of the data you're seeing with regard to an effect from COVID?
I think it's just empowered it. I think people are still more than ever locked on social media. I think they're still getting great value from social media as well. I think there's some great positives from social media, and I think COVID has helped people. COVID hasn't helped people. I think social media has helped people during this COVID period when they've been vulnerable, or in difficult periods, or being alone. I think it's been pretty helpful, Johnny.
And well, I mean, it sort of makes sense, because from a behavioural point of view, shopping has dramatically changed, and we're now more cautious about going into shops, certainly depending on which country you're in. So I think the space of influence marketing must have had surely an impact, because people are buying online, shopping online. People aren't as busy, depending on whether they maybe they've been furloughed. So there could be lots of reasons why they've got more time to spend online as well.
And also with fitness gyms as well being closed, you've got the big rise in home workouts, remote yoga sessions, and
well, you're right. I mean, that takes us into picking up new hobbies, picking up new interests, and actually needing new, for example, equipment or different things at home. And where's the first place we look? Well, we look online and see what our peers are saying, I guess. And that's that can make a big difference. Going back to the report, I was just one of the things that I noticed was that the UK has the highest rates for influencers. We beat Canada and the US. I asked you before the call why you thought the UK might be at the top, and you went for because we're greedy. I mean, I'm not sure, I don't know if there's any necessarily any data behind that, but it was just really interesting to see that the UK has the highest rates, and so it sort of suggests that there's some good opportunity for brands within the UK looking to do it, because if they're getting the bucks, then it must be worth it.
100%, and that was definitely said tongue in cheek with Brits being greedy. It's obviously not the truth, but there's some top brands that are coming out the UK that are emerging in other markets. We look at brands like Gymshark and what they've done with influencer marketing, from building it from his parents' spare bedroom to doing influencer marketing whilst he's delivering Pizza Hut pizzas door to door as a student. And that's not the only British brand that has grown astronomically through working with influencers from the UK and taking it to other markets. Now, I think again, the UK is in a very geographically is in a very fortunate position where they're a middle ground, an intersection between the East and the West, and I think having that influence over and being in that time zone, you can have that influence over two different groups of people, and I think that's possibly a part of the reason why.
And whilst rates are going up, what you're also finding is that there's certain areas, for example, fashion and beauty, that are dropping. And I can only imagine that because fashion and beauty were probably the, where some of influencer marketing really started. But as influencer marketing has grown and grown, it's obviously into many different categories. So I guess there's been an address of balance there. Does that sound fair to say, how I've summarized that?
100%. And even things like parenting has taken a completely different direction, and DIY, particularly because people have been at home. Influencer marketing for those types of industries have grown dramatically and helped chase those other leading sectors like beauty and fashion.
Daniel, I've got someone on Facebook that's asking a question. They've just asked, how did you get into the industry? What was your path to getting into influencer marketing?
I think the luck I had was, and there's a little bit of luck in everything, was moving to Israel with a clean slate, having no degree, no mortgage, no marriage, no debts, no real responsibilities other than having the ability to start a career in an extremely vibrant digital ecosystem, and working in the high-tech sector here has been an incredible opportunity. And through meeting Klear, who was Twitterland, and meeting the founders, Guy, Noam, and Eitan, I've been able to have the opportunity to work in a tremendous industry and an amazing company which is offering so much to the industry at whole.
One of the things that the platform allows you to do is probably one of the most important things, which is to not just manage your influencers, but to still engage with, to keep them engaged. So it's sort of like a CRM for influencers. Just tell me more about some of the functionality on that part of the tool.
Great question. So obviously, Klear helps to optimize the different workflows with influencers, and one of the workflows and components of influencer marketing is influencer management, and we have an entire suite. So whereas traditionally you might work with influencers out of an Excel or Google Doc or Google Sheet or some sort of spreadsheet, Klear allows you to centralize all of those relationships and have sort of a bird's eye view of everything that's going on in a beautifully designed environment, which is easy to collaborate with colleagues and influencers in. And it essentially allows you to handle the admin with influencers, send briefs, send messages, handle payments, contracts, content approval, that type of stuff, where at the same time being able to automate the entire campaign measurement aspect of the work you're doing. So when you're doing all that hard work, you need to be able to calculate how it's actually performed, and Klear actually calculates that in real time. So when they talk about Live with Johnny Ross, digital marketing specialist, as soon as they talk about it, Klear will automatically track the post, the engagements, the reach, the media value. If you're an e-commerce website, we integrate fully with e-commerce platforms like Shopify and WooCommerce and Bee and Wix, and do pixel tracking. So you can actually track link clicks and sales and conversions in that portal as well.
And because I'm not getting a fee today, and we've not come up with a formal agreement, this was my idea to be talking about Klear. So I don't need to add a hashtag sponsored or sponsor add to this feed. But talking of which, because you've nicely brought it in for me, so my understanding is that any paid influencer marketing must be clear to the followers that there is it's sponsored, it's an ad, so a celebrity or a nano influencer might use a hashtag to show that. Has that had any impact on influencer marketing at all? Have you seen any negative effect from it at all, or is it more that look, it's better to be open and honest, and actually it creates a better relationship?
I agree with the latter of what you said. I think it's good to be open and honest. I think for me as a consumer and someone that loves following certain thought leaders, people that follow certain brands and love certain brands, it's always a bit like, oh, so Johnny's an influencer for Gymshark or whatever. Cool. Or he's doing a sponsored ad. Cool. They actually see that he's brilliant. Sometimes it's refreshing to see that. I don't think it's really affected things. I think people know influencers were doing brand collaborations beforehand. I think the most important thing is that it stays authentic, it stays original, it stays on brand. That type of thing.
Yeah, I actually think it does add a bit of kudos, actually, because I think for certain influencers, if their audience were to see that they're being sponsored to do something, then I think that can. And then I think with regard to celebrities, to see that a particular celebrity is associated with a particular brand can also, really bring a lot of authenticity as well. And then with regard to the other elements of the platform, it's around measuring success. So what does a successful influencer marketing campaign look like, and how would you and Klear, I guess, go about measuring that?
It's a great question. So obviously sales and cash in the bank for a business, that's their centric goal. But with influencer marketing, it's about brand recognition, it's about relevance. You want to know, particularly if you're working with influencers regularly, that your brand is sustaining that it's staying relevant in people's minds, and that you're achieving good reach. I think that's the key, and I think that's what. Sorry.
So have you I guess helped? I mean, one of the things that a lot of people have always said is that it's very difficult to measure brand awareness, but I'm guessing that with a tool like yours, you're starting to be able to measure that with regard to things like reach, engagement. Are there any other metrics in there that would help us measure the awareness and the recognition of a brand?
It's a great question. I think it's very challenging, but I think that our true reach algorithm, the very hard work we've put in and groundwork for a very long time to develop very complex algorithms which really help you ascertain how many real people actually see the content and what the impressions are. I think if you want to really understand how it's transpired and how authentic the content is and how many real people actually see it, I think that's an incredible indicator to how well the brand is doing. True reach is what brands should be using for that to help make that understanding. And it's, from what we see, it's become the standard, Johnny, in the industry.
Wow, that's fabulous. Do you see any examples? I assume that influencer marketing is always better as part of an integrated campaign. Yeah. Do you see any examples in particular of how of what other platforms or paid avenues that a brand might use to really power an influencer campaign? Is it traditional TV advertising? Is it traditional pay-per-click? What is there anything that you see in particular where you see brands that really work on influencer marketing? What are the other things that they're doing that power that?
I think it's trial and error, and I think just because one thing works for you doesn't mean one thing works for Nike doesn't mean it's going to work for Burger King. I think what's important, I mentioned them before, Gymshark, incredible company, incredible CEO, incredible entrepreneur. You talk about enterprising and doing things your own way, and people talk about the success they have, but don't talk about the failures, the different things they tried with influencer marketing. But I think what worked for them was really having a centric goal on community. There is a Gymshark community out there. There are people that are head to toe in Gymshark. You go in a gym. I'm not personally, not against it, but the Gymshark type of guy or gal. And I think what they did, which is incredible, is community. Red Bull did it years and years ago. Gymshark did it in the last 10 years. And community, building a community around your customers. I think that is a great way to go about doing it and thinking about it.
I've been advising brands and agencies a long time on influencer marketing. Klear for me stands out as a product that and a tool that could really help make a difference. You know, especially, and that's, you know, I've looked into the tool, played with the tool, but also now that I've spoken to you, it's really backed this up for me. What, Daniel, if brands are looking to engage with Klear, what's the best way to contact you? What's the best way to find you?
It's a great question. So you can go on our website. There's several different call to action buttons. One of them is to schedule the demo. So if you want to schedule the demo, you'll be able to see Klear in all of its glory. You'll even be able to customize it with a Klear agent to help build it around your existing campaigns, or finding influencers that you have coming up for a campaign, or vetting your existing influencers. Klear will be able to do that with you. You can go online, set it up, we'll respond straight away, and we can show you what it looks like in all its glory.
Great, lovely. It's been really great chatting to you today. It's definitely a passionate area of mine, e-commerce and influencer marketing. I can see how the industry's grown and grown, and I'm really looking forward to where Klear take us on this journey. So thanks so much for joining me today, Daniel. It's been an absolute pleasure. And if you've been listening or watching, I'm delighted that you've been here. Thank you very much. And we'll be back again. Actually, we'll be back again tomorrow. So we will see you all soon. Take care and speak soon.